Where do the nine-tailed beasts actually like to live? As every shinobi knows, all Bijuu have a father figure, and that is the Sage of the Six Paths. Before the Sage of the Six Paths passed away, he specifically chose the perfect homes for them based on each of their unique preferences. He hoped they would grow up well and one day live in peace with humanity. Let's start with the one-tail. Shukaku's true form is a tanuki, and like any cat-like creature, he loves sand and sunbathing, so the sage gave him an entire desert to himself. Shukaku must have been thrilled. Clever as he is, he turned that sand into ninjutsu, developing magnet release and sealing jutsu. However, this desert was eventually claimed by the sand, where they built Sunagakure. From then on, Shukaku began a life of free room and board, but zero freedom.
Next up is the two tails, Matatabi. The sage arranged for her to live in a bamboo forest. Bamboo usually thrives in high-altitude mountain regions, which later became the territory of Kumogakure. Matatabi could hunt bamboo rots whenever she wanted, and since she can breathe fire, she could even enjoy them roasted. The three tails, Isobu, is essentially a giant turtle. Naturally, he prefers freshwater lakes, so the Sage of the Six Paths gave him a massive lake where he could swim around freely. As for the four tails, Son Goku, his true form is a great ape. Monkeys love climbing rocks and trees. Plus, since the four tails love spitting fire, the sage arranged for him to live in a high-altitude rocky region. This later became the territory of Iwagakure. He could breathe fire all he wanted,
without worrying about burning down a forest. The five tails, Kokuo, is like a majestic stallion. What she loves most are wide, open spaces where she can run as fast as the wind. So, the Sage of the Six Paths placed her in a relatively flat bamboo forest region. She was likely neighbors with the four tails. The six tails, Saiken, is a slug, and slugs definitely don't like bright, sunny places. Just like the slugs of Shikots's forest, the Sage of the Six Paths provided him with a moist and secluded cavern. The seven tails, Chomei, is an insect type. In his youth, he was a small larva. He loved warm environments with lush, dense vegetation. So, the Sage of the Six Paths arranged for him to live in a primal virgin forest, allowing him to soar through the skies freely.
The eight tails, Gyuki, is an ox octopus. Octopuses, of course, belong in the ocean. Thus, the Sage of the Six Paths gave him a vast sea. This allowed the eight tails to dive deep into the waters and hunt for fish. However, this area eventually became part of Kumogakure. Finally, we have the nine tails home. The Sage of the Six Paths favored Kurama the most. The nine tails is fundamentally a small fox. And where do foxes like to stay? That's right, the land where Konoha sits. This fertile land was so rich that even Sunagakure was envious of it. One can only say that Kurama had excellent taste. This prime location was eventually spotted by Hashirama and Madara, who chose it to establish the Hidden Leaf Village. During that era, Kurama might have just been out hunting.
But before he could even return home, he was captured in the wild by Madara. So it's quite ironic. Years later, when the Nine Tails was rampaging, the place he was tearing apart was his own home.